All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are diving into a massive showdown for anyone who's serious about AI. We're putting the brand new NVIDIA RTX 5070 head-to-head with its bigger, meaner sibling, the 5070 Ti. So you're looking to build your next AI rig, right? Or maybe upgrade your old one. You've got a really big choice to make. I mean, the GPU you pick is basically the heart of your entire setup. It's the engine for your research, your creative projects, all your experiments. So how do you pick the right one? How do you make sure you're not spending too much, or worse, getting a card that can't handle your ambitions? That's exactly what we're going to figure out today. Okay, so let's meet our two contenders. In one corner, we have the RTX 5070. Think of this as the perfect, well-balanced entry point if you're getting serious about AI. And in the other corner, we've got the RTX 5070 Ti, which is promising a pretty major step up in performance for anyone with heavier workloads. They might look similar on the outside, but trust me, the differences under the hood are what really matter. Now, before we start pitting them against each other, it's super important to understand what makes them family. Both of these cards are built on NVIDIA's incredible new Blackwell architecture. What does that mean for you? Well, it means they both get the latest 5th-gen tensor cores. Those are the little parts of the chip that are absolute wizards at AI math. They also support new stuff like FP4 and FP8 precision, which is really just a fancy way of saying they can crunch through AI tasks way faster and more efficiently. It's a total game changer. And look, this isn't just hype. NVIDIA themselves are framing this whole generation as a massive leap. They're literally saying their goal is to unlock new experiences with the power of AI. So this shared foundation is key. It means no matter which card you pick, you're starting with some seriously cutting-edge tech. All right, we've covered the shared stuff. Now, for the fun part, let's get into the numbers. This is where the daylight between the 5070 and the 5070 Ti becomes crystal clear. We're going to break down the key specs that have the biggest impact on actual AI performance. Let's kick things off with the big one, raw AI processing power. We measure this in TOPS, which stands for trillions of operations per second. The RTX 5070 comes in with a really impressive 988 TOPS, but the 5070 Ti just blows past it with over 1,400 TOPS. That is a massive 42% increase in raw compute power. That translates directly into getting your work done faster. Now, this next number, honestly, it might be the most important one for anyone doing serious AI work. The 5070 Ti gives you an extra 4 gigs of VRAM. You go from 12 gigs on the regular 5070 all the way up to 16. And let me tell you, when it comes to AI, VRAM is king. More memory means you can work with bigger, more powerful models and larger batches of data without everything grinding to a halt. And what about the engines that do all the heavy lifting? The CUDA cores. The 5070 Ti packs in over 2,800 more cores than the 5070. That's a 46% jump. Just think of each core as a tiny little worker. Having almost 50% more of them means the Ti can just obliterate those massively parallel tasks, like training a neural network. You know, it's not just about how much memory you have, right? It's about how fast you can actually use it, and that's where bandwidth comes in. The 5070 Ti gives you 33% more of it. The best way to think about this is like a highway for your data. The Ti's highway is just way wider, letting data fly between the memory and the cores so much faster. It prevents those annoying bottlenecks that can slow you down. So let's put it all together in one place. You can just see it right here. The Ti leads across the board in every single key performance area. More cores, more memory, more bandwidth. But, and this is the important part, you can also see that all that extra power comes with a higher power draw and, of course, a higher price tag. Okay, numbers are great, but who cares, right? What does all this actually mean for you when you're sitting down to code your next project? Let's translate these specs into some real-world advantages. Let's go back to that VRAM advantage because it's so important. It's a pretty simple chain of events, really. The Ti has more VRAM and more bandwidth, which lets you load up bigger and more complex AI models, which in turn means you can tackle tougher problems and get your results way faster. Simple as that. So, when does the regular RTX 5070 make a ton of sense? Well, it's an absolute beast for a huge range of AI tasks. If you're experimenting, running inference on some medium-sized models, or having fun generating incredible images with stable diffusion, the 5070 is a powerhouse that gives you amazing value for your money. But what if you're aiming higher? What if you've got bigger fish to fry? That's where the 5070 Ti really steps into the spotlight. We're talking about fine-tuning models with billions of parameters, doing some serious deep learning research,
These are the kinds of jobs that will use every last drop of the TI's extra power and memory.
And check this out, this one stat really tells the whole story. In AI training workloads, the 5070 Ti isn't just a little faster, it can be up to 45% more efficient. That means you spend less time staring at a progress bar and more time actually doing research and making breakthroughs. That's not a small bump, that's a gigantic leap in productivity.
Okay, we've laid it all out, we've seen the specs, we've seen the real-world applications. It all comes down to this one final question. Which of these amazing GPUs is the right one for your AI journey? Let's bring it all home. Look, it really boils down to who you are and what you're trying to do. Think of the RTX 5070 as the perfect card for the AI experimenter. If you're a student, a hobbyist, or maybe a pro who's focused on inference, this card gives you the best bang for your buck, hands down. But the RTX 5070 Ti? That's for the serious practitioner. If you're a developer or a researcher who's constantly pushing the limits with huge models, the Ti is the powerhouse you need.
And here's the bottom line, the trade-off you're making. You're looking at about a 36% price jump to go from the 5070 to the Ti. In return for that extra cash, you're getting anywhere from a 20 to a whopping 45% boost in performance on those really demanding AI jobs. So yeah, you're paying more, but you're definitely getting a whole lot more power for your dollar.
Now, we've gone through a ton of info here, but if you really want to get into the weeds, see more benchmarks, and compare these to other cards, all the source material for this came from bestgpusforai.com. Definitely go check it out. And that's a wrap. At the end of the day, the choice is yours. Both the RTX 5070 and the 5070 Ti are absolutely incredible tools that put a staggering amount of AI power right at your fingertips. So the only question left is, which one are you going to use to power your next big breakthrough? Thanks for tuning in.